Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. My lighting is horrific because New York City behind me is so bright, just so bright. Uh, it's like overcast and like the light is shining down in it. And it's weird. So I'm answering a publicly posted question on Avo today, and I'll read that question in the record. I think it's an important question, and I think it underscores something very misguided that we're doing. Um, I think we're doing it to be allies, and it's so misguided that it is actively harming the people that we think that we're trying to help. So, let's let's get on that. Um, this was posted January 21st of 2022. Oh, also in New York, New York. Hello, New York. I am no longer your neighbor, but I'm here right now. So, here's the question. Can a company force you to include your gender or gender pronouns in an email signature line? For example, can they force you to include she, her, or whatever pronouns you might identify with in a public facing signature? And so there's four attorney answers on this question, and pretty much all of them came down on yeah, they can make you. Um, and a couple of them kind of noted like there's some waffling. There's one gentleman who said, I thought about it overnight, um, and I commend him for taking a little time on this. Here's the thing: I know where that policy comes from, right? That policy comes from a desire to um, be respectful of people who are experiencing the incredible, what I assume must be the incredible pain of feeling like you were not born the correct gender, right? And I commend that motivation. Here's the thing: the people who feel like they were born the wrong gender, um, they have choices, they have rights, right? They don't have to uh, tell you, um, I'm this, I'm that. Today I self-identify at like. First off, those gen, what you self-identify as may not be that static. It may not. I know many people who do not experience a static self-identification of gender, right? Most of those people don't want to be changing their gender signature line every day, right? Your professional facing email, many of those people chose to not be changing how they identify in their email every day, right? So, right off the bat, we have a problem because the people you're trying to help may not want the help you're directing their way. But let's dig a little further, right? So we're working hard, I think, as a society. Not hard enough, I think you might agree, but we're working hard to try to equalize gender in the workplace, right? And that's important. It's super important. And it's weird that we think as part of that, or as part of showing respect and being allies, you have to announce how you self-identify vis-a-vis gender in every email. That doesn't really make any sense. Okay, I've previously, people have tried to get me to take cases. There was he was a social justice warrior, which I commend him on that. But he's a white cisgender heterosexual dude trying to make some waves, and he was going around his job. Obviously I won't identify him, but he's going around his job, and he was trying to demand to know everyone's pronouns, and he wanted to pursue everyone who was like, "Hey, not gonna give you my pronouns." And I know that he thought that he was like being an ally, but in fact he was, it turns out, terrorizing more than one individual who was like, hold on, I'm not out in the workplace. Whatever that out meant for that person, right? Yeah, I don't want my gender to be a topic, right? This young man, I know he thought he was going to go get some crusty old white gentleman who was watching Fox News, and that guy was going to start a fight, and he was going to have a case. Yeah, it's New York City. That didn't happen. What he did was terrorized more than one individual who's like, "Hey, I don't want to share that with you. We're not there yet. I'm not there yet." Well, there's a variety of things, a whole spectrum, an infinite spectrum of reasons why a human individual might say, "Hey, I don't want to share my gender identity with you." You moron. I don't trust you. I don't feel safe with you. This is my professional life, and it shouldn't be at issue. There's as many reasons, as many flavors of, no thank you, I don't want to talk about that, as a human mind can imagine, right? And I think these policies, which amount to show us your gender papers, right? Hey, new policy. Every single email you send, self-identify your gender from now on. Does everyone feel safe now? I bet you they don't. I bet you they don't. I bet you're doing bad things and you don't even know it. So, actually, I'm going to go ahead and disagree with the other 4 attorneys who answered this question, who all said, yeah, the employer can probably do it. I'm going to say, in New York State, because of the protections offered, because New York State has additional protected classes, and I think you could make an argument that this would fly under the federal law as well, but especially I feel comfortable saying this in New York State. I think this policy harms people on the basis of their gender identity. And I'm not worried about the me's of the world, right? Like, I self-identify as what generally people perceive me to be. They think I would identify as male, right? And so yeah, I don't need any protection. I'm fine. You're obviously, right? But there's a lot of people, and this policy was meant to help, who are not comfortable and not at all grateful for this policy. Not even a little bit. It is an active detriment to their careers. It is there. Remember the early aughts, and I guess still today, when like gossip bloggers would run around outing people in their professional lives and be like, ha ha ha, turns out he's gay. Nah. And like, they thought that was great because they too were gay, and like they wanted people to be out, and they were like getting lots of views and, you know, forcing people to be out. People would be like, hey, that was my choice. That's my orientation. That's not cool, man. Like, you're hurting people. We're doing it again. The same thing. We're doing it again. We're hurting people. It is an individual's choice if they wish to express their preferred pronouns. It is their choice. It is not their duty. You don't get to demand to know how they self-identify today. That is a bad thing. You're doing a bad thing. And you're doing it, I think, as far as I can trace this backwards, because Twitter decided you should. And I gotta tell you, Twitter kind of self-selects away from intelligent human beings, right? If you have the time to sit on Twitter all day and pontificate about things you don't really know about, odds are you're not a genius. So if something hails from Twitter, if Twitter is the source of an idea, it needs some scrutiny. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying we probably got to put our minds to it and say, are we actually helping people? I don't think we are. This is a bad idea. I think someone needs to sit down with a significant cross-section of the trans community and say, do people want this? What percentage of the people experiencing this are benefited by this, and what percentage are harmed. Because the goal should be kind of utilitarian, right? Like, do as much good as we can. No policy is going to be perfect, and no policy is going to help everyone. There's always going to be a policy that displeases someone. I get that. But we need to get a feel for if we're, in aggregate, helping more or hurting more. That really matters. And if we're not working from that, and instead we're working from some people on Twitter said so, and they're really loud, that's not a good reason to do anything. Loud people on Twitter are not a reason. We got a president that way. It didn't go great. Being loud on Twitter is not a credential. It's just not, okay? Anyways, I feel a little uncomfortable with this take because what it boils down to is, hey, we should ask. Let's make sure we're doing the right thing. But right now, this feels like the wrong thing. And I think I would tell this company, yeah, I would bring a claim against you. Because I think you're hurting people on the basis of a protected class. And that needs to be corrected. So, feeling like the wrong person to be having this take, but also maybe no one else would post it. I don't know. Here we go.